So just starting family reunion. How many of you got to go to a breakout yesterday, got to enjoy something of learning yesterday? How many of you were at the pool? How many of you? I went to the golf course, don't tell Gary. We had one beautiful day. It's 20 degrees in Nashville, and so we thought, what better to do when it's 70 degrees outside and there's a golf course across the street? Actually texted my team leader this morning and said, this is how you grow leaders, by the way. That's what we're talking about. I texted him and said, hey, you want to blow off today and go play golf again? Anybody else? No, we can't do that. Guys, thank you for having me. My name is David Huffaker. I'm the owner and operator of a couple of companies that operate mostly in the Southeast region. The reason that we love to talk about the growth of leadership is that I believe that anything that we learn in life tends to be the exact opposite of what we think it is. How many of you in here understand the difference between time and money? Say yes. How many of you in here value time more than you value money? Say yes. How many of you in here, if I ask your spouse or your children or the soccer coach where you place your emphasis, they would say it's on time and not money? Yeah, a lot of times what we believe in life, what we have show up is that we believe and know that time is more valuable than money, and yet sometimes our actions might show that we're more focused on the money than we are on the time. You know how I know this? Ask me how I know this. How do I know this? When you go and you start to build a team or you start to grow, let me ask you this. Do you look at your commission check and go, how do I give more of this away or how do I keep all of it? I'm also the OP of some market centers, so I get a chance to see our organization from a couple of different levels. I run a real estate team out of Nashville, Tennessee. Last year we had the pleasure of serving just over 425 families for about 175 million. And our expansion team in Tennessee has a unique perspective. Alternatively, I also run a platform that did about 600 million in sales last year. How many of you love to do $600 million in real estate sales this year? Yeah, big numbers, right? And you do that through developing your leaders. But I'm also the OP and a Keller Williams University instructor. And what breaks my heart is what I see in our people is that they hear the models and the processes of how to build a great leadership team or how to build a great team or how to build a great business, and yet our actions don't always support it. So I want you to start thinking about, in terms of growing yourself and growing your business, every time you think you understand the answer, I want you to challenge it with the opposite, right? So what I want you to think about is, sometimes I'll hear agents say, well, I want to go to brokerage X because it costs me less money over there. You cannot expense manage your way to success, guys, right? What you're looking at when it comes to your expenses is a return. The challenge that we look at is we look for the lowest possible cost instead of trying to look for the highest possible return of our money. The thing that I love about running businesses, how many of you in here consider yourself to be an investor? You've bought something of investment worth before, whether it's a CD, a stock, something like that. How many of you in here know of a way to get a 5,000% yearly return on your money? The only possible solution for that is business. There are no other options. You can't go buy real estate. You can't go buy stocks. You can't do anything without developing a 500 to 5,000% return on your money other than owning a business. So let's talk a little bit about how we want to do that. The myth that we hear that I want you to think about is, I need to go find the right opportunity, and when I have the right opportunity, I'll develop the right systems and models and talent in order to grow that. Does that make sense? Think about it. When we get out of college, we go and we find, or we get out of school, we go and we find the opportunity that's going to serve us in our growth, right? What I want you to think about, the truth is, if you will spend your time going out and finding talent, if you'll spend your time going out and getting into relationships with people, then your world will grow as a byproduct of that. When you learn how to identify talent and attract them into your world will get bigger. Anybody remember that Zig Ziglar quote? Right? You help enough other people get what they want, you'll automatically get what you want. The older I get in life, the more I realize everything we need to know was written on some bumper stickers at some point, right? It's pretty simple what we're learning. And so what I want you to think about is, how do I go find talent? I didn't know this early on. I actually found this out when one of the agent services coordinators in my market center was going to leave for another opportunity. And I had just taken over his OP, and I said, man, the previous OP called me. He said, she's talent if you can keep her in your world. You know, if she's here right now. But ultimately, Bethany was in my world, and I didn't even know it. She was pure talent. And I went home and I told my wife, I just offered a young lady the largest salary we've ever offered anybody, and I have no clue what she's going to do. And I can tell you, I've seen this theme show up over and over again in my business, where if you find talent, right? What do we do for a living, right? We go out and we get into relationships with people in an effort to find listings and buyers, correct? So what if you just tweak that just a little bit, and everybody that you come in contact with, you start asking the question, not just are you a buyer or seller, but are you talent? And yet, let me ask you this, how many people do you think on planet Earth are just non-talent? Everybody is talent in their strength zone, right? Nearly everybody is talent in their strength zone. So rather than what most of us do is we go out and we put an ad out for a marketing manager, or we put an ad out for a contract to close specialist. And then we start bringing in people and holding them to the opportunity. What I want you to start thinking about is go out and find people and evaluate their skill set, and then look up in your world and try to uncover where is the opportunity that I can match them with. Does that make sense? So ultimately, as I'm having these one-on-ones, I'm having these interviews, right? Great way to do it, go put an Indeed ad out, right? A generic Indeed ad, looking for a great leader. I got one of my people here with me today. I actually went on Facebook and just said, leadership opportunity available. And somebody's husband reached out to me and said, hey, my wife and I just moved to the area. Your name was recommended to us. And I think my wife would be a good candidate for this leadership opportunity. Now, there were no details in the post, right? Just a generic leadership opportunity. And through that process, I discovered several leaders they were able to get into business with, they were able to look up. And then one of them we placed as the growth director of level 8, right? One of them we were able to place as a marketing manager in our company. But a lot of times what we're doing is we're going out and looking at the opportunity and trying to fit that person into a box when we meet them, as opposed to going out and finding talent and then allowing them. Would you guys like a model? If I gave you a model to put in place as you're looking for talent to help you identify, would that be useful? Yeah, I find you guys really like to leave the room with something in writing, so I get that. There's not a drawing, so you're just gonna have to imagine it in your head with me. One day I'll get on TV and we'll do it all as a drawing on a whiteboard. But ultimately, how many of you in here have taken career visioning? How many of you in here in the process or have ever hired someone and never taken career visioning? Yeah, right? And so career visioning, great class. You have to go back and relearn it, because as you evolve as a leader, that class will uncover different pieces of what you need to do, right? So here's what we see. Here's what breaks my heart as an OP, is I see people go out and they have a great real estate business. How many of you ever heard your best salespeople don't always make your greatest leaders? Yeah, that was me. Okay, was great at sales, did sales my whole life. Thought, man, I'm gonna crush this leadership thing. Tell you every day I'm still feeling my way forward with it. Doesn't matter how big the companies get, doesn't matter how diverse they get and how many more people. I have people all the time that go, oh, your life must be so easy. If you have a problem, you just probably go to Phil or go to Bethany or go to someone else and let them handle it. And I wish that was true, guys. The further you get away from the core problem, the harder it is. You have to learn to succeed through others, right? And so as an OP or as a coach, I see people building teams, and what they come to me and they say is, after about 2 or 3 iterations of hiring and firing, they go, this just isn't meant for me. Any of you ever maybe had that thought, had that limiting belief come through your mind where you're out there trying to grow? Maybe it's in real estate, right? Maybe you have this limiting belief, you go on some listing appointments and they don't hire you, and all of a sudden you think, maybe this just isn't for me. Again, skill is developed and grown. It's not, it's growth-minded, not fixed mindset, right? And so as you think about that in terms of talent, what I hear most people say is, man, maybe I'm just not built to lead other people. Maybe I'm just not meant to run a team. And what that sounds like to me is, David, I haven't been trained properly. I haven't been given the right education. I haven't been given the right model to follow in order to help people succeed. Coach Tony DeCello used to say, if you get hiring right 1 out of 4 times, you're doing pretty good. Which means that you're gonna hire 4 people and 3 of them are gonna be the wrong person. They're just not gonna be the right fit for the right role, because again, a lot of times what we mistakenly do is we go out and we try to take talent and squeeze them into the opportunity that we have, as opposed to going out and finding talent and then looking for the opportunity. You tracking? Awesome. So I want you to think about this model. If you get it right 1 out of every 4 times, you're doing pretty good. If you get it right 2 out of 4 times, guys, you ought to be teaching the class. So if I get it right 2 out of 4 times, that means what? I still failed 50% of the time. Now, are you looking at it through that lens, right? I was told not that long ago that if I were to hire 3 people, 1 of them is gonna be the wrong hire, 1 of them is gonna have a life moment, sometimes in the next 6 months, that changes their plan, and 1 of them potentially could be talent. So this is where you see all of us trying to grow businesses and organizations. Man, you gotta get thick-skinned, right? How many of you have hired the wrong person? Can I admit something? My team's gonna laugh at me. Monday, 8:30 a.m. at the gym, I'm working out and I go, oh my God, I got a new marketing person starting today. I'm at the gym. It's 8:30. I didn't tell anybody on my team. Guess what happened Wednesday? That person quit. Now, I'm not going to say it's because I wasn't prepared, but I'm going to say that was a huge piece of it, right? And so and that one's a silly one, right? You look up and you go like, oh my God, how many weeks did we spend screening interviews, right? Going through people, doing that. You never get perfect at it, right? You can continue to go. But here's the model I want you to jot down. I want you to draw a diamond on your page. Now, when a Hollywood screenwriter goes and looks to how to build the perfect character for a movie, they use what's called a character diamond. And so I want you to think about that character diamond. As you're drawing out your talent or what you're looking for, I want you to think about the character diamond that they use in the Hollywood screens, right? And on that character diamond, when they draw out this character, at the top of it, they're going to put North Star, right? So as you're looking for your talent, I want you to put the North Star, right? The North Star is going to be the obvious stuff. What is their role? What is their title? What is it going to pay? What exactly is that person going to do? Right? These are all the things that you know, like this is what this person does. This is the characteristics. This is my guiding light for hiring this talent. Tracking with me? All right, what's every hero have? Every hero has their kryptonite. So at the bottom of that star, I want you to write kryptonite. What are the things about this person that are going to cause this to fail, short of not being prepared for them to start Monday morning at 8:30? What are the other things that are going to cause this person to fail? What are the things that are your non-negotiables? Have you ever defined your non-negotiables? What a great thing to do. Sit down and define your non-negotiables. Mine, IDO, integrity, discipline, ownership. Right? Did I screw up on that hire? Absolutely. That was all on me, my responsibility, my fault, nobody else's. I'm going to own that problem. Integrity, as long as we're operating in honesty and transparency, I can deal with just about anything. And when you say you're going to do something, do it. Have the discipline to get up and do your job. Now, those are my personal non-negotiables that help me filter all the talent that I see in the world as to whether they're going to be a cultural fit. Okay, so you have the character diamond, you have the North Star at the top, that's the attributes of the role, you have the kryptonite at the bottom. What is it going to be that could make them fail? Ask yourself this question. If I were to look up a month from now and this were the wrong hire, what would I see? What would be showing up in my world? One of the things that happened on that same hire was day 2, I got a phone call that said I need to work from home today. Now, specifically on this job, I don't know about you guys, but we are moving away from working from home. It's really difficult to do the job when you're folding laundry. No judgment. I don't know if you're as jaded over the last few years, right? But ultimately, what are the things? So for me, one of those kryptonite pieces might be a need to work from home. Doesn't make them good or bad. You see what I'm saying? Like just because someone needs that flexibility in their schedule has no judgment around it, but ultimately it helps me identify what's important on that talent, okay? Now in the character diamond, on the right side of the diamond, we would put quirks, right? A Hollywood screenwriter would put quirks, right? So one of my quirks, I love musicals. Anybody with me on musicals? Yeah, right? All right, see a couple of us here, right? Grew up going to plays, love musicals. One of my quirks. For our talent, on the right side of that character diamond, you're going to put your KPIs, right? What's unique about that role and how would you measure their success in it? Okay? So some of the KPIs that you might be looking at, if you think about it, no one should have more than 3 KPIs, right? If it's everyone's responsibility, it's no one's responsibility. So for everyone that I hire, I want to know what are the 3 numbers that are absolutely their responsibility and their responsibility only? Because as we're developing our talent and developing our leadership, we need to have that transparency in the conversation. Is that fair? Then on the left of your character diamond, I want you to write the processes. What are the things that are going to really stand out about this role? What are the things that they're going to be involved in? What are the things that I'm looking for? So under the North Star, I might write, what disc profile am I looking for? Under my North Star, I might write what their KPA is going to look like. Under my kryptonite, I might look at structure as one of those things that to me would be kryptonite for that particular role. Now, if I were hiring an agent role or someone else, I might look at structure as the North Star. So using this character diamond will help you outline what are the things that really matter about this role, what are the things that could derail it, what are the metrics that I'm going to measure in order to know if I'm being successful in that role or not with that person? And then over to the left, what are the processes and pieces of it? Are they going to work from home? Are you going to be on the phone all day? If I'm hiring an ISA, one of the things I might want to make sure they're comfortable with is being on the phone for 5 to 6 hours a day, yes? Yes, so I want to list those things on the left side that are going to be impactful for that role so that I can outline that. I want to leave you with this thought as we're wrapping up. I have permission from Gary to do this. And so a few years ago, you guys have all heard of the 3L triangle, right? Leads, listings, and leverage. I coach mega agents and mega teams, have the pleasure of seeing behind the curtain of some of our most successful organizations here at Keller Williams. And it's funny because along your journey, somewhere along the way, you become pretty good at listings and you become pretty good at leads, right? And I don't even like the word listings. I think it's cute because it starts with an L. But ultimately in the leads, listings, leverage triangle, leads is my ability to generate a conversation. Listings, being a buyer listing or seller listing, is my ability to convert that into business. Okay? So somewhere throughout the process, we have our leads, which we generate, and we have our listings, which is our ability to convert. Finally, we drop down to that leverage piece, and that becomes an ongoing evolution. You never will master that leverage piece. And as I really try to look into it, I'll say I was a really poor leader starting out, just the way I showed up. I just didn't really understand what leadership meant. And so as you take that 2D triangle, right, leads, listings, and leverage, and I turn that into a three-dimensional shape, it actually becomes a prism, which I love, because what does a prism do? A prism refracts light, right? It takes from one to many, right? It takes a one light and it breaks it up into its many colors. And I think about that as a leader. It's your job to find talent and see them through the right prism so that you can see whether they're strongest in the red or the blue or the green or what color light they're best in. Does that make sense? Now, as I turn it into a prism, I get 3 additional L's, right? 3 additional legs to the prism. And I'll leave you with this. That goes from leadership, legacy, and longevity. You probably aren't the leader you need to be in order to lead A players. I know I wasn't. I was a D leader, so I attracted D talent, and that grew me to be a C leader. And that C leadership allowed me to attract C talent, and that grew me to a B leader. And that B leader allowed me to attract B talent, which grew me to an A leader, right? And so it's an evolution of your growth. Maybe you're further down the path or wherever you're at, but my ability to develop my leadership skills really revolved around being able to come to events like this, being able to plug into classes, being able to read the books. Lastly, longevity, being able to do it through in and out shifting markets. A lot of us, leadership looked real different in 2020 and 2021. We had to show up as different people as we navigated contactless showings and virtual appointments. That leader today has to be focused on skills over will, right? We have to be focused on the ability for our people to grow. And then lastly, legacy. Not just legacy in terms of what are you leaving and the impact on your world, what are you leaving on the impact of the people that you're fortunate enough to lead? Are you up at night worrying about them? Are you up at night worrying about their future? Are you putting the time and energy? Your legacy will be determined based off of the people that you impact, not the dollars that you generate as a part of your business. Guys, thank you for letting me share with you today. I hope that's impactful. We've got another speaker coming up. If you need to follow me, it's at DP Huffaker on Instagram. Please look me up, follow. We do a lot of talks and speaks on there. Thanks, guys.